Yeah, me too, definitely. Like when I predict Lambo to win, it's not because I think GunGFu's bad. I think he's actually really damn good. I just think Lambo's maybe just a little bit better even. Anyhow, speaking of the guy himself, spawning over in the bottom right-hand side of Lightshade, playing for Team Shopify Rebellion, it is Lambo.
And over here on the top left-hand side of the map, representing Team Cascade, he is GunGFuBanDa.
Very often when I watch Lambo play, I do feel that his own biggest enemy is kind of himself when he gets in his own head. Because I do think skill-wise, he's absolutely one of the best Europeans. I know that a lot of players can fall in the shadow of Reina and Serral, but he is absolutely on their tail. And I do genuinely believe he's one of the players that does, like, he is separate from the rest. That little plateau behind them, Lambo is right on their tail.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think he, outside of obviously the match where he just really showed up on fire, Lambo's actually been on fire this season. And the group stage is absolutely demonstrating how strong Lambo has been looking. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he does in the rest of this kind of lower bracket right now. But like you said, he's got to try and make sure he can close a clean one out versus GunGFuBanDa. And I also just love the little motifs we got where GunGFuBanDa literally has like light constantly emitting from everywhere in his camera. He's like the representation of light. And then you got Lambo kind of with his head tilted down, constantly has this shadow on his face. A little light versus dark motif there.
This is, the good guys, the honorable Prodosses over in the bottom left, emanating that honor. And then you've got, dark Zerg. But, I think that's good that you mentioned that because it really has solidified itself as to who or how the ranking goes in Europe. Like those three, like this is the real question. Who is the best of Clem, Reina, and Serral right now? Then the next slot, you've kind of got Big Gabe, but that's kind of interchangeable with Showtime. And then the next three also, it's kind of open. Like, is it Maxbags, is it Lambo, or is it Elazer? We don't know how to truly rank these players right now. They're all damn good. And almost any one of them can beat any other. And also it comes down to style as well. Like Clem, even though I think he has a better chance against Reina and Serral than Big Gabe is very capable of beating Clem. So it can all come down to a bit of bracket luck as to how things go as well.
Yeah, and I think this is, honestly, it's such an important season. Like the first season after we've kind of been on a bit of a break from IEM Katowice and all the other DreamHack stuff that was happening last year. This can really set a lot of momentum. This can boost your morale and get you set up, build up that confidence so that maybe you make a decent run or a good run this tournament and you really start to break out the next event and the following event. We've seen that actually happen with players like Estrella or like Clem last year, where, the first season they do okay and then they start doing even better the next season. And then it's that third season that they truly just solidify themselves among the top of their region. So I really want to stress the importance of having a good result this first season can set you up for the rest of the year.
Yeah, definitely. So far, Lambo hasn't been able to scout much. He saw the Stalker, the Adept. Now he sees the two Adepts with a single Zergling. And this can indicate any tech behind this, really. You could be thinking Adepts, you could be thinking a lot of stuff. That's why he's getting the safety Roach Horn, just to make sure that none of this stuff catches him too off guard. There is no Spore in production, but look at that. Like, I know this is happening at the third, but look at that random Zergling that's got patrolling right over flies the Oracle, so he knows exactly what he's up against. That is really good scouting by Lambo.
Yeah, so important that you're able to identify that. He's got the Queens coming into position as well because he knows the angle that those Oracles are moving in from. But even with apparently 4 Queens and a Sport Caller finishing, GunGFuBanDa does a nice job and makes it out of there alive with both Oracles while still finding 2 workers. I have to say, actually, like, normally I see a Zerg player that has 4 Queens at the natural and a Sport Caller, and I think there is zero way you get anything done, but finding anything was pretty impressive.
Yeah, GunGFu's actually adding on a 3rd Oracle here as well. Oh, holy crap.
4th Oracle?
Yeah.
Wait.
Like, this?
No.
This is... This reminds me of the Haas days, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how it's gonna do, but it's kind of cool.
Oh my God, he's making more. Oh, Ben, we're getting a return. Okay, so Ben, I have a question for you. The Haas days actually it was accompanied oftentimes by either adepts or charge lots on the ground. Do you think we'll see either one of those, and if so, which one would you think would make more sense these days?
I think charge lots, honestly. Like adepts, they have a timer and they get worse as the game goes on. Charge lots, they can get better. This Oracle count, it's getting scary now. We're getting up to 6. This is the kind of thing. Okay, the reason I gave GunGfu a map when I said 3-1, Lambo can beat himself up. Like, he really can. I do genuinely believe Lambo's very good, but he can, like, if this deals too much damage, that can throw him off for the rest of the series, actually. And this is the kind of thing that I haven't seen this in a long-ass time.
Yeah, it has truly been a long time, but look at that. We already have a Spire getting started on up over here, because Lambo, I mean, he's may have noticed the massive swell of oracles of that overload that's sitting at the natural. And if he hadn't before, he's definitely going to notice it in a second as these oracles start making their way toward that main base. I have to imagine the Spire should give Lambo a big opportunity to do a big shutdown on the oracles later on. Oracles not able to find a whole lot of damage just yet. There's so many queens at every base right now, Ben.
Yeah, so far this is meticulous by Lambo. The defense has been really good. The scouting really good. He's adding on more queens as well. He's respecting this a lot out of GunGfu. GunGfu, even though this was a huge commitment, especially making this from double Stargate, he's macroed really well behind this. He's not really that far behind in drones. And he's teching up to like Immortal, Blink Stalkers, even getting a Robo Bay here.
Well, the 5 oracles, I mean, they're continuing to dance around, but these queens continue to deny a whole lot of anything. Eventually, you got to think about how you're going to find some value from those oracles. And stasis traps can, of course, be nice, but I feel like those oracles they have a timer, and the timer is taking really, really far down right now with 13 mutas on the way.
Yeah, I will. This is one of those things where you can either look real daft or you know, like galaxy brain. And I think like he's getting some cannons now. Where is he getting them? Is he getting them in the mineral lines or? But yeah, he's getting disruptors out, and right now it feels like anything he does won't be enough against this huge flock of mutas, which is already at 13, and I don't think he has a clue.
Yeah. Queens are going to be moving across the map, which might signal a little bit to GunGFuBanDa that he's going to start thinking about defensive play. But as soon as he sees those mutas start to dive into the 3rd base, while all of his units are over at the 4th base trying to defend that, shield battery gets taken out. GunGFuBanDa in a world of trouble. The Spore Crawler is actually taking out one of the oracles as well as GunGFuBanDa tries to do a backstab, but it does not work out. Can the Disruptor save the day over here? It's a pretty damn good hit, Ben.
I mean, that Disruptor's actually doing work. These Roaches don't have speed yet. This is definitely an all-in by Lambo, but I think it's a well-calculated all-in. Look at the creep spread along with this too, just to funnel in units even faster. He's getting +1, takes out the 4th base. He's taking out so many pros of these mutas. Like this is a well-executed attack by Lambo.
This is like the most frustrating set of units also for a Zerg player to have against Protoss. It's like, hey, do you hate mutas? I know you do hate mutas. All Protoss players hate mutas. Do you hate queens? Yes, I know you do. All Protoss players hate queens. How about Roaches and Zerglings with Raptors? Yeah, let's do it. Now, I have to say GunGFuBanDa doing a nice job of defending the ground forces, but again, it's just how much damage has GunGFuBanDa taken behind all of this as, well, I mean, you did mention it, Ben. There isn't exactly like an amazing transition setup over here for Lambo, so he does have to still do a little bit more, I think.
Lambo has to be careful that if he keeps on making lots of Roaches here, he has to be careful that he still doesn't have Roach speed with this. Maybe he just wants to turn them all into Ravagers and stuff, but those Roaches would be a lot scarier if they were just a bit quicker here, but it doesn't look like he's noticed.
Mutacan also starting to get replenished over here. Another Disruptor coming on out. I mean, these Disruptors, one big hit, I actually feel like will severely even up some of that supply. And remember, Roaches are a bit of inflated supply as well. So I don't think this is all over for GunGFuBanDa. A very aggressive Blink 4, but it pays off. Ends up getting a few extra Cyclops and Some mutas start to accumulate over on that north side. Lambo backs up with a large chunk of his army looking for another angle as he actually does start adding on a lot of other tech.
Yeah, but the swarm is real here, Ravi. Like, this is so much red, and it's all on the side of GunGFu. Like, he doesn't want to be defending against this while he has to deal with the army as well. Like, what does he make at this point? He's having a decent fight here. He's got the battery overcharge in a nice spot. In fact, it's a beautiful spot for that battery overcharge.
Disruptor.
Decent force fields by GunGFu, but those mutas, 22 probes do fall.
Oh, that economic damage is going to hurt. He's no longer in the this sucks, but I still have an economy zone. He's going down to the 40s. This is the really, really tough spot for the Protoss player where you just feel like, okay, I actually just can't afford units anymore. Those power units, those magic units, like the disruptors, or even just getting up a few Phoenix to help gradually pick away at those mutas. Like, a lot of these options are starting to get taken off the table. Oh, the disruptors. Oh, no, that was it. That was the magic moment there for Lambo to shut down any hope for GunGFuBanDa. GG.
Fun attempt. He brought me back to a time that Haas invented a whole new meta by himself. But yeah, I guess this is kind of the why that stuff doesn't work as well anymore. Like, Queens are damn good. Zergs are way better. Yeah, nice attempt by GunGFu, but great shutdown by Lambo. And Lambo, after he dealt with that and he didn't take any damage, he was just like, okay, he went to one gear and it was go. And he slammed GunGFu. He really did.
Yeah, one thing, man, is somehow, some magical way, GunGFuBanDa is able to turn this series around, ends up winning, and we get him on for like a winner's interview. Man, I would love to just hear, like, what is GunGFuBanDa's plan with that kind of build if there isn't that hard of a shutdown on the first like 4 or 5 oracles, because he did stop at 5 oracles there. It wasn't like GunGFuBanDa just went pedal to the metal, 15, 20 oracles, your opponent's making hydras and you're just laughing in their faces. The hydras evaporate to the oracles. But I'm still actually not sure, like, was that going to be a part of GunGFuBanDa's plan and he kind of bailed out on it early because Lambo was just so prepared for it? Or was that actually not his plan?
Yeah, it was I'm that guy, Ravi. It was 6 oracles, okay? But like, I think he was just looking to bamboozle him a bit, you know? I don't think there was any intention of trying to mass them. They're not what they used to be. It's not the same thing anymore. And Queens being what they are, and Zergs are way more eager to just produce a lot of Queens anyway in general. Yeah, it's a tough one. But Jagannatha, this is the map that I'm kind of like, okay, I feel that GunGFu has way more chance on Jagannatha. I think it's the kind of map that's very hard to just straight up kill your opponent, and Protoss can easily get up to that late game scenario, which is seemingly what they all kind of want.
Yeah, this is one of the picturesque maps for it, Ben. But here we are. We're going to be starting up at the top right-hand side of the map. On top of the blue Protoss player from Team Cascade, he is GunGFuBanDa.
And spawning over in the bottom left, representing Shopify, it is Lambo.
So I'm guessing that is what you want to see from GunGFuBanDa this game, then, the Muslim. Like, you want to see him try and sit back, take advantage of Jagannatha, and get into like the big late game sky toss.
Okay, I'll be real with you, Ravi.
Okay.
I do think GunGFu is very good, and I think he's all around pretty solid at all the matchups. But the fact that he said he was terrified against Lambo, like, I don't know what I want to see. I just want to. Yeah, I want to see him play well, because I do think he is really good. And if he kind of just escapes from that idea that he's just, you know, shit in his pants against Lambo, I think he will genuinely put up a good fight, a good game against Lambo. And if there's one thing I've seen Lambo kind of crumble against, it's those ruthless late game Protoss shameless armies. Like, I saw him lose a map against Mana with the mass air stuff recently in the World Team League stuff. And I did, like, one thing that Lambo's very good at is just reading the early game and the potential all-ins and the weird shenanigans. I think it's the more straight up sky toss, the void rays and stuff that can kind of give him a bit more trouble.
I think actually that's a really good point. And if you are a player that you're literally, you know, super scared of your opponents pooping your pants a little bit against them, one of the most important things, I think, especially in a best of 5 where you do have a little bit of time, is finding that solid victory like that can build your confidence, right? Getting that confidence level up will actually help you play better. I don't know many players who play better StarCraft when they don't have confidence in themselves or like some belief that they can make things work.
No, there was a lesson that I learned pretty early on that helped me a lot. It was always respect your opponents and like their strengths, but never fear them, because then you'll start playing totally different. And if GunGFu does start playing totally different and doing things that, you know, he's probably not that comfortable with, or feeling that he has to get some other edge, that's when things can really go out the window.
Well, so far we do have a Stalker into Adept opening over here. So the Stalker able to chase away that Overlord a little bit. He was being a bit aggressive trying to find the pickoff there. Not quite going to be able to find it, but he will be able to deny a bit of that scouting information early on exactly GunGFuBanDa wants to open up with. He might be able to prevent a Stargate or something from being scouted, or I should actually say in this game, well, the ideal was going to be preventing the lack of Stargate as a second gateway gets added on over here, but our third gateway now. Yeah.
Okay, this is super weird. And Lambo, he did get the click on it, so he did get to find out what it was, but 3 gate, no tech so far. Super freaking weird. I don't know if this is... Okay, do you remember a period of time where Protosses used to just get like quite a few sentries, take a third base, then lots of Blink Stalker? I wouldn't be surprised if this is something along those lines, but yeah, this is really weird. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lambo's just a bit even more careful with the scouting and just trying to find out what's going on.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, what exactly do you think would be even like a tell that this is going to be the case? Because I guess Lambo has seen the second gateway in the back. He didn't really see any other tech either. Has Lambo just gotten enough information to see like, okay, you're getting up your tech very, very late? Or do you think he still needs to kind of scout something else to determine that?
I'll be frank with you, Ravi. This build is really weird from GunGFu, and it is absolutely from a time long ago. Lambo gets a late Roach Warren. He's not bamboozled by these adepts, which is really good. But GunGFu also didn't commit to anything, which is good for him. The follow-up for GunGFu, he's getting a Robo, getting a Dark Shrine, of all things. Very, very unusual by the German Protoss here.
Oh, is this going to be... Well... No, I think you would have started Resident Glaives if this is going to be the Resident Glaive into Dark Shrine, like big attack kind of play, but it's going to be charged.
It's all way too late. It's way too late for that. Like, he really wanted to sell something. Like, he wanted to show Lambo that he was doing an Adept Glaive kind of thing, but Lambo, he didn't fall for it whatsoever. And these Adepts might be able to get a bit of damage. This is really nice for GunGFu, but yeah, GunGFu's just playing super greedy behind all this. Which is cool. I'm just worried about what his army's going to be.
Yeah, Adepts look like they're going to be able to shade into the main base, maybe pick off one more drone. Nah, it doesn't get that final shot off, but gets a bit of scouting information, forces a lot of those units back, and has a few units very out in the open in a kind of vulnerable place, but decides to pull those units back. That Dark Shrine about to finish up there, and I don't believe he made a Warp Prism out of his Robo. No, he's just actually making it an Immortal, so no fast, easy proxy pylon to send those DTs across the map with.
No, in fact, where is he warping them in? I wouldn't be surprised if he just like kind of makes an Archon here, but okay, he's going to wander them out, see what he can get done with those. Lambo's been pretty good about scanning this game, and he's still droning, which is good. It's what he needs to do. He's been careful about it. He hasn't been greedy or crazy. But you have to remember, like, Lambo's playing against a build that not a lot of people do really these days, and that can really make you a bit like, okay, what's going on? But he does make 3 Overseers at once, so he has seen a blur, or he's seen something that alerted him to this.
Yeah, the Zergling was actually following the DTs for a little bit, and I think he did spot the blur, and immediately that was when he popped up those Overseers. So one Overseer heads in the main base, confirms the Dark Shrine. The other Overseers sitting around with the army on 2 different angles that the DTs could potentially move in from. I do like that GunGFuBanDa has realized, okay, there's a good chance Lambo already knows about this. He's trying to hide with those DTs. I actually think I saw a right click from some units there from Lambo right to where the DTs were, so you might still end up finding them.
Yeah, GunGFu's approach to this game, like I love his patience with his units that he sends out on the map. Like, doesn't just kind of commit them straight away. He kind of waits for something else to go on. He's gonna take a 4th base behind this, I guess, but how many gateways does he actually have ready? He has 7 with 2 more on the way. That's definitely a pretty heavy number. Is he just gonna go pedal to the metal with this? I don't think so, but I think he's trying to keep Lambo honest.
Yeah, the problem is I don't really feel like Lambo has been cutting corners or saying like, oh, okay, like I'll make too many units early on and now I just don't have an economy or anything. He has 85 drones. Granted, he's losing a few to the DTs, but he's on a healthy worker count. He still has his tech coming up and everything. If this attack actually does come forward, I don't really feel like Lambo's unprepared for it.
No, he's not. Like, that was GunGFu just trying to distract in one place and attacking 2 others. Like, it's a smart RTS play, right? Like, distract your opponent, deal damage elsewhere. And he did clean up a bit of the creep, too. And he's not slowing down with these Adepts, too. The things that he made way earlier to try and fake the Adept attack. It's all... GunGFu knows he's going to get attacked soon. The question is, like, what is he going to get attacked by? And he has to buy time to get a proper army together, because right now, his army... It's not equipped to deal with what Lambo will have very shortly.
Well, Adept's starting to come in yet again. He's continuing to just throw out these little bits of harassment and not finding quite as much as before. Storm on the way is going to be very helpful if you can actually survive to that point to have a combination of Disruptors and Storm against this kind of army composition from Lambo, but well, I guess he's still relying on some of those units to just buy a bit more time for him to actually get that up, as well as, I guess, get up even the next transition with the Stargate.
All right, 8 Lurkers coming out into the field. We're getting the range upgrade as well. In the range upgrade for the Hydras. Lots of static defense coming in for both players. It looks like they're both, like, I feel that Lambo wants to get his army out on the map and be aggressive, but just make sure that he doesn't die to any of the counter stuff, which is cool. GunGFu going for the air upgrades along with Storm as well. We're gearing up for a proper late game here, Ravi.
Yeah, but here's what I would say the difference is between like this game and like a lot of other games. I feel like we see the late game of PvZ. It feels like GunGFuBanDa is not going into like the Stargate late game. Like, yes, he added on Stargate. He's getting out the plus on air weapons, but I think he's making that transition a lot slower compared to Lambo, who I feel like is actually really close to already being set up for that hyper late game. I feel like by the time we end up seeing a lot of those late game Stargate units come out, Lambo is already going to have everything he needs to also handle it, or potentially even prevent GunGFuBanDa from getting there.
I will be honest with you, Lurkers have a bit of a timing window, which Lambo is trying to utilize as best he can right now. The range is done. These Lurkers are incredibly strong. GunGFu, he does get away from this base, but his counterattack is dealing damage. He is cleaning up the top bit of the army, but the Lurkers, how does he deal with this?
Yeah, even with detection, these units are just having such a hard time getting close. The Lurker's also well spread out, so yes, a Disruptor Shot can pick off 1 or 2, softens up one of them, but the Nexus is absolutely going to go down. Zealots starting to get cleaned up, but still more weapons in the main base. GunGFuBanDa really making some magic happen over here for a little bit, but slowly but surely the reinforcements show up over here for Lambo and push things back.
I like all that counterattack damage though that he did. It was pretty good. And Lambo's drone count, he's now at 68. I know he's replenishing and stuff, but definitely you know, takes the wind out of your sails a little bit. But it was a really good attack by Lambo here, taking out this 4th base of GunGFu. And that air transition, we see it happening. Does Lambo know about it yet? I mean, he has a significant number of Hydras here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the first 2 carriers, right? There's only 2 Stargates making that transition. The carriers produce very slowly, so 2 carriers not going to be enough to really say that he's fully made that transition to the big Skytoss army for this attack at least. But they will be at least a little bit helpful. Base ends up being canceled again, and well, I think GunGFuBanDa can hold out for a little bit on 3 bases, but that 4th base really is going to need to come down sometime soon.
Yeah, and Lambo, he's not planning on making this game last any longer than it needs to. GunGFu's still trying to expand. He's still doing a lot. These run-bys could potentially get damage done over there in the bottom right. And his army is genuinely kind of scary to engage, like Storm or Storm Disruptors. Yeah, I think they're both playing really well here.
Yeah. GunGFuBanDa, these Zealot run-bys have truly been actually just buying a lot of space and time. He continuously is pulling, look at this, all of the Lurkers all the way back home. That has actually bought him the space he needs to not only push out and clean up some creep, but actually to establish that top left-hand base. In that base location, that top left-hand location is actually much easier to defend than the more exposed bottom ones.
It is, but if lurkers can somehow siege the top of that ramp, then you're gonna have trouble getting it back. That carrier count though, it's growing, Ravi. We're up at 3 right now. Oh, that warp prism stuck around for a bit too long. Nice storm though.
Yeah, pushing this army back. Losing the warp prism is really gonna hurt. That has bought him so much space and time. But like you were saying, we're already up to now 3 carrier storms. Really dousing these hydras and even the lurkers, but unfortunately for GunGFuBanDa, a lot of this army is still pretty slow. Those lurkers catch up very quickly. They're still finding little pickoffs here and there. I think that Lambo looking for another opportunity, but Storm's ready there to greet him at the ramp.
Why isn't he adding on more disruptors? I feel they've been buying him so much time and space here. That is so many lurkers. Is he engaging? Lambo didn't have vision inside the high grass there for a moment. Those immortals did way more damage than they should have.
Yeah, I think that eventually they do start getting cleaned up, and the carriers starting to run out of interceptors. There's only 4 of them, and all of the interceptors are basically gone right now. We have 2 interceptors out on the map. That's the entire army of GunGFuBanDa right now. It's 4 interceptors.
Oh, he just ran out of AoE here, and it's the hydras he has to worry about. The lurkers are scary, but the hydras, there's just so many of them here.
There's not really enough production anymore for GunGFuBanDa to take on this army. Trying to knock out some of these hydras, but yet again we're going to see those interceptors starting to get taken out. Lurkers sieging on up. Lambo looks so gosh darn strong. A great game from GunGFuBanDa, but he still gets shut down by the Zerg.
Yeah, certainly. I think GunGfu played well. The lack of AoE there, maybe the movement on the map. I know those lurkers got a big shot off there where they took out like one of his disruptors and a few of his high Templars, but who knows? A few different alterations in that game could have maybe went GunGFu's way, but well played, Lambo.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, guys, we're going to be moving into Game 3 after a short break, so don't go anywhere. More of the DreamHack SC2 Masters is coming your way. It is match point here for our young German Protoss player, and he has got to make it work now, or it is not going to work at all, since he's only got that one last opportunity now, Ben. One last opportunity to bring himself back in this series.
Yeah, it's not looking good for him. Like, I think his gameplay is pretty solid, but Lambo just, again, he just seems a bit bigger. He's the one really kind of taking GunGFu the way that he wants to play the game, and GunGFu, he's trying to throw a wrench in the works, which is kind of cool, but yeah, Lambo's just having none of it. And spawning over in the bottom right-hand side of Blackburn, it is Lambo.
And down here on the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the blue Protoss player from Team Cascade. He is GunGFuBanDa.
It is always tricky going up against a guy like Lambo, because mechanically he's very sound, like very good. So you always have this mindset that's like, if you go against him in a orthodox game, you have to beat him on pure mechanics, which is incredibly difficult. And then it's like, okay, I know this guy is very confident with his builds and his scouting and stuff. So it's like, how do I bamboozle him? It's when you start thinking about that kind of stuff, I kind of like the fact that GunGFu's been throwing out these weird and wacky kind of openings. Even that last game, even though it looked kind of normal, it absolutely wasn't. But it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you, how do you feel like the now that we got to see kind of the game move into the later stages and everything for that last game, how do you feel like that last game's opening worked out? Because I feel like the opening wasn't really the point where Lambo just crushed everything, but it definitely had an impact on kind of where those two players were moving into the mid game from.
He just wasn't that scared, really. Like, as soon as he got that scout on that gateway in the back, it was a bit like, okay, what's going on here? Like, that you don't have the minerals to buy anything else. It has to be tech, right? And it's a gateway, and it's like, okay, I've scouted a gateway at the front as well. This is bizarre. And then, yeah, it definitely didn't do GunGFu any favors. That being said, it's one of those situations where if it paid off, it'd have been like, whoa, GunGFu, you're so cool. But yeah, it didn't. I really liked Estrella's builds last night against Zerg. Like when he played against Scarlet, they were all exceptionally greedy. It looked safe as well, but it was also like poking the bear a little bit with just nice, clean attacks while playing super greedy behind it all.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Estrella is like a build order specialist in a lot of ways when it comes to kind of crafting the right kind of builds for the right situations. GunGFuBanDa gonna have that Stargate on the way though after he opens up with 2 Adepts this game. We'll see if he's gonna go for another one of these Oracle openings, as I think the Overlords should be popping on in the next minute or so to try and get some information. It's not exactly a whole lot to deny it right now, especially after Lambo sees that it's just another Adept that was made, so nothing to stop him from moving to the main base now.
Wow, okay, a Phoenix. Honestly, unless you watch Rotterdam stream a lot, it's one of the rarer options these days. Like, normally it's either an Oracle or a Void Drain, then into the other one, but getting out the Phoenix, and he's going to, like, you have to make more than one. So seeing this, I'm curious about what Lambo's approach to this is, because this isn't too much of a meta build these days.
Yeah, what's kind of interesting to me, the Overlord is not actually going to see the Stargate, so he won't actually confirm that there was like the second Phoenix and everything made. Sometimes, you know, it used to be a Protoss thing where you go 1 Phoenix into like 2 Oracles or something, or you go like 1 Oracle, 1 Phoenix, 1 Oracle, and kind of mix things up. But yeah, like you said, Ben, it's just going to actually be more Phoenix being made. And he's kind of keeping the other ones banked up and trying to hide them for a bit.
Yeah, you are right. That was a time when you used to run in and lift up the single queen that was there. Now Zerg make 6 when they're on 3 bases. And like, it's a bit trickier to do. But yeah, normally it's like, yeah, he's never going to have 1 Phoenix these days. Even getting out to take that 3rd, Lambo's making it a bit tricky for GunGFu.
Okay, well, Rush Rank gets added on over here. Lambo's still trying to keep an eye out on things. He's like, okay, you're looking to take your 3rd, right? Now the Phoenix have been revealed. 1 Overlord will end up getting popped over here, so that's some nice damage. Actually, you might find a 2nd one if he's really lucky about this, but uses the time bot to try and snipe another Overlord. Ooh, Doesn't get the Overlord, but keeps the Phoenix alive. Very important.
And to be fair to GunGFu, he's also kept probing a lot behind all this, like just solid probe production. So he's actually kind of equal with the Zerg. I know Lambo's producing a good bunch right now. Double Robo. Ooh, I like it.
This feels like something out of Rotterdam's games, right? Like, get up a bunch of Phoenix, add on a bunch of Immortals, like power units all the way.
Yeah, the only difference is there's Warp Gate in this game. Okay, the Phoenix will keep on poking. And also there's no +1 on the air, actually. This is, but only 5 Phoenix. That seems to be a good number to go for. I am interested, like, is he thinking he's going to, like, potentially going to die to a roach attack, so he needs to power out a lot of Immortals? Yeah, just really weird stuff out of GunGFu.
Yeah, like, I think you put it really well, even in the last game, and I feel like the same this game. It's just really old school builds, right? GunGFuBanDa is actually just pulling out the history books. This used to be a very standard, typical looking PvZ where you'd say, well, yeah, I'm going to open up into like 5 Phoenix off of the single Stargate. I'm going to harass around, get some map control, and I'm going to add on 2 Robos to pump out Immortals behind it, add on my Twilight Council, get up charge like an Archons. And this is literally all just what PvZ looked like. I'm trying to remember the exact timeline. I want to say like a year and a half ago.
It was definitely a while ago.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, times are different now. Like, we're looking at that drone count, and Lambo's just powering on ahead. He hasn't had to worry at all. Like, he's been pretty careful about expanding as well. He could have done it maybe even a little bit faster, but he's respected his opponents a lot. And I think the issue soon will be like, Lambo can do anything he wants. These roaches just kind of saying hello and running on by.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's an interesting decision to just kind of push on forward through that, but loses one of the Phoenix over there in exchange for 5 workers. Sentry's managed to force field in some of these roaches since they move a little bit slower off creep, but eventually those roaches mostly do manage to escape. Gold base being taken over here maybe does put a little bit more of a timer as well for GunGFuBanDa, because there's just going to be a good bit of minerals flooding forward for Lambo that he can just power out units for. I feel like at the time that usually the Protoss player that used to go for the style would want to push out.
Yeah, I think Lambo's just going to get a huge Hydraling Bane comp together. Like, he's at a pretty damn good drone count. He's up to 80 right now. He's got the gold base. And I think he's just going to try and kill GunGFu. Like, this kind of opening, I haven't seen it done in a while by GunGFu. And I think Lambo is getting ready to show us why.
Yeah, man. I just remember, like, this era of Protoss, a lot of it was being able to survive up until the point where you get up Storm and just making sure you don't die at that point. But Lambo is looking so comfortable that I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. Like, I think Lambo might take a little bit more damage over here behind the middle line, thanks to the Adepts actually joining the fray as well. I actually really like this move over here from GunGFuBanDa, but Lambo is still looking really, really solid right now. I don't know how he's going to defend the GunGFuBanDa is going to defend that 4th.
No, me neither. Like, the supplies tell the tale of the story here. I know Zerg's meant to be ahead, but you're normally this far ahead if you have something like a lot of roaches, but I see like 3 in that mix. Ravagers, Hydras, Banes, and he's opening up the map a little bit. Yeah, this is going to be ridiculously hard for GunGFu to hold with what he has.
Timing is hitting right as Storm finishes up, so that is going to be a bit of a blessing, especially since Lambo's actually now pulling back as a few Adepts try and buy a bit more time over that gold base. 5 High Templars are out on the map, and there is also a Warp Prism that drops a bunch of Zealots and warps them into the main base. Even if these Zealots aren't getting a ton of damage done, I have to say, just having bought a bit more time is so vital for getting up that Storm to survive.
Even though GunGFu's build has been weird, I like how he's playing it, and that's pretty important. Like, this Warp Prism, this attack here, he's being pretty cost efficient with it, and mainly like time efficient, as you say. With this, what's this Immortal count at? It's getting up to 8 if these 2 complete. He's got 6 High Templars with Storm. He's bought enough time, and Lambo, he hasn't even maxed out yet. He's got to make that single extra Overlord, but maybe he's okay with just making sure that GunGFu doesn't feel safe.
Yeah, he's gonna try and come in from many different angles, and this is where having on-point storms is really important. And look at how many High Templar there are right now, Ben. Even with the Banelings connecting, almost taking out some of these High Templars, there's still so many storms left over. That is really what he's going to be relying on in these fights alongside the shield battery overcharge. Are the Immortals going to be able to hold the line? Ben, it is looking very stormy over here for Lambo.
Oh my goodness, that shield battery actually lived for quite a long time. GunGFu, amidst all this, sends some zealots to the other side of the map. He's the one with the bank. Lambo isn't. I think GunGFu has taken a pretty solid lead in this game. That did not work out for Lambo at all.
No, I mean, even with the sick flank and everything, those storms are ridiculously cost-effective in value. That shield battery, like you were saying, being ridiculously cost-effective. With a high finally finished up, I do think this is the point where Lambo can start adding on some other higher tech units, like say even just Vipers and stuff to try and help out a little bit. It doesn't seem like GunGFuBanDa is looking to transition his army composition really either. So that might be where Lambo finds still a bit of an edge, but I totally agree. GunGFuBanDa is looking really solid in this game number 3.
He does have a fleet beacon ready for if he wants to start carriers. He has so many minerals available to just warp in an army. Like Lambo, he's walking this fine line here where he wants to tech up and he wants to drone up, but he's scared about dying because his army isn't scary. We do see that Great Aspire in production here. But yeah, GunGFu, look at this bank that he has. That's a lot of minerals. I really feel that Lambo is so happy that he's not being attacked right now.
Okay, I was about to say, I would actually, if you have that many minerals as GunGFuBanDa, I don't hate the idea of having a second War Prism, and he does, which will be able to potentially catch Lambo a little bit more out of position and everything. Base of the bottom center being taken is kind of interesting. Looks like one of those War Prisms does get taken out inside the main base. Lambo's still on top of the defenses. Lambo just kind of says, well, gotta defend against these storm drops and the Zealot run-bys and everything, but once I get up Broodlords, buddy, you have to have an answer to those or your ground army is just going to get stomped.
Yeah, he has the access to Tempest if he does want to get them. He's getting Blink +3. Like, this game is no longer a game that is like a timing attack's going to work. Like, we're past that stage. It's getting truly to the late game. And both of them have to be so careful because these armies, if GunGFu looks away for a split second, those Banelings, there are so many of them.
Zealots continue to do these little run-bys. I like that GunGFuBanDa did finally add on that second Stargate. It's not just one carrier production anymore, which I think is a very, very slow transition to that Stargate tech. Even getting up the mothership as well. These Zealots, I mean, they're actually finding still a decent bit of damage there. Finding 8 workers, getting opportunity to clean up some of the creep spread. This is good damage for GunGFuBanDa.
I like how GunGFu's playing. And this army from Lambo down here at the bottom, if GunGFu comes from the right, and that's exactly... Oh, he was scared. He was scared about what was possibly coming behind. He could have absolutely sandwiched this army.
Yeah, I get it, though. Like, your army is still very high-tech, high-value units that are difficult to replace. You don't want to make a misstep with this army and just get surrounded with, a portion of it. Looks like the Overlord comes on in, spots out one of the carriers, and it looks like it'll get a full scout into that main base. So Lambo will know, all right, I can't just make, a bunch of Broodlords or something with a Greater Spire. I got to keep these Corruptors around and alive to help deal with the Air Skytoss army that's coming on out.
Yeah, and he's getting the good upgrades, like the air armor on the Corruptors, because it is High Templar, or rather it's carriers that he has to worry about shooting them. But yeah, soon we're probably going to see Lambo maybe trade out some supply. It may look a bit sloppy, it may look a bit crazy. This is maybe what this is about here, because he needs to get more anti-carrier here, and that's kind of the scary part.
Well, denying a bit of mining out that gold base is nice, but like you were saying, you really just want to just try and find some trades over here. Hermit's still just kind of circling around. It looked like Lambo was considering moving in from that high ground area, but decides to reconsider it. The Ravagers, I think they're in range of the Nexus, so they're gradually picking away at those shields.
Okay, this is a scary spot for GunGFu. Like when your retreat path is through 2 slow zones, it's tricky, man. It's tricky. You see Lambo, like his big red flock in the middle of the map, it's looking to collapse. GunGFu has to be careful. This is the best game that he's like been in against Lambo, and right now I don't know who's going to win this. It's really damn close.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point about those slow zones. I feel like if that forward base that GunGFuBanDa has, if he actually gets a little more reinforcements, so hold that thought. Actually, we have the mothership coming on forward as this big Skytoss army just gets recalled, but still a lot of units get left behind, Ben. Oh no, 3 carriers might end up falling over here. At least 1 or 2 of them end up going down, and GunGFuBanDa drops very far down in supply. The Banelings connecting with all of these Immortals, all of these units at the front lines. It's a disastrous engagement for GunGFuBanDa.
It's disastrous, and he absolutely didn't want that to happen. But Lambo, his economy has been absolutely stomped behind all this. I think GunGFu kind of has a chance. Look at those Immortals. They're all so red. They're all so close to dying. But Lambo, he's basically all in with this attack.
That is definitely true. And these Zealots starting to warp in over here, taking out a lot of the Hydras. The army supply getting evened on up. Lambo down to those 41 workers. And he's not remaking workers right now. He's making overseers. He's making, finally, I guess, now some more workers. He's making Lings before. Wow, GunGFuBanDa is really going to be able to make it work off of a kind of disastrous start for that engagement. Wow.
That was super disastrous. And okay, it wasn't intentional. I looked at his webcam. I swear I heard him say "Was" as loud as possible. Because yeah, he was like, he thought he clicked on everything there. And yeah, Lambo pounced on that army, but oh man, Lambo has a mountain to climb now, and he's doing everything he can. He's positioning well, denying gold-based mining, but GunGFu, he's taking the top left as well. GunGFu has more bases than the Zerg.
We also got some more harassment happening in the top right-hand side. The DTs roll on in, denying mining from one of the few remaining bases that are actually supposed to be mining over here for Lambo. Drones getting picked off. Lambo is going to finally find a small victory there and pick off a gold, but he's going to lose a hatchery and a lot more of those drones in exchange.
Yeah, I think GunGFu played a magnificent game here. He held, he weathered the storm, he dealt out the storm. And Lambo is kind of stuck on an army they didn't want to be on, and that carrier tech, like, it really kind of put a clock on everything.
Yeah, I've got to especially hand it to GunGFuBanDa. Those Zealot run-bys that he's been so consistent with, not even just in this game, but even the last game, which I think really put him in a better position than he otherwise would have been. That has really been the big playmaker in these games. Even after the engagement didn't go well, like you were saying, he just did so much economic damage with those run-bys. And now we see a situation where GunGFuBanDa has earned himself one of these games and bringing himself a little bit back in this series.
Yeah, and I just checked the drones killed that game just to find out how much damage GunGFu did, because it was very hard to capture. He killed 88 drones throughout that game. And it wasn't just like all in one go. It was while other stuff was happening. Like, he was getting pushed back there. He got caught in the middle of the map, but he had 2 sets of run-bys going. He was very good, very persistent about that stuff. And that's what you tend to see in his PvT as well. He does it with DTs as well. But yeah, very good, solid play by GunGFu. And that definitely should knock a bit of confidence into him as well, because that's almost what I wanted to see from him. A bit of that late game situation, getting there fairly normal. Because even though I think Lambo's super good, that's some of the stuff that I've seen him falter against a little bit. Just because some of these fights, I want to say he almost gets carried away. Like, he sat in those storms. I think he was super confident about killing GunGFu. And then it's just like, I've lost the game. Or at least I'm behind now, which is never where you want to be.
Yeah, Lambo definitely ended up committing to some of those fights where he was up against, like, a large number of Immortals and Storm finishing just in the nick of time before Lambo was planning to push in. I think there was something crazy like 8 High Templars ready as well. It's really tough to fight into that. There's a reason why that was standard for a long time for Protoss compositions against a mid-game Zerg. I think that it's pretty tough. I really want to know if GunGFuBanDa is going to stick with that style though, because he has mixed it up with his openings, with Blast from the Past in every single one of these games so far. And now we finally found something that kind of worked. But did it work in a way that he feels like he can repeat that? Does he feel like that is something that he can throw it out for the following games in this series?
I don't even think the start was that good for GunGFu. Like, yeah, he got a few overlords and that stuff, but the third was delayed super hard. Yeah, just very nice late game management by GunGFu. It was all like, if you ask yourself, oh, how should I play late game? It's like, you should do some run-bys here, get your army together, try and distract. He just followed the solid rules, and it was very nice play. Getting into the 4th game here, though, on Oxide, spawning in the top right as our blue Protoss, it is GunGFuBanDa.
And down here on the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the red Zerg player from Shopify Rebellion. He is Lambo.
Oxide is the map. Now this map, it's a lot easier to attack because that's one thing we kind of hinted at on Blackburn. It's really hard to attack your opponent and kill them. And we saw as soon as you get past those slow zones, really ruins your retreat as well. So maybe one of the reasons that Lambo had to commit there when he did, A, his army wasn't getting any better, but B, if you try and retreat into those slow zones, you're going to lose a lot on the run back as well, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, can't wait to see how the players actually decide to play it out on this map. We do have some fun stats actually that our admins have been collecting about the event and everything. Almost all of the times that this map gets vetoed is usually by the Zerg player in this matchup. 18 out of 20 times, the Zerg players have been the one vetoing Oxide. So maybe going to be giving GunGFuBanDa just a little bit more hope here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still curious about what he's going to do this game. Oh, is that a second probe coming out on the map? So he's got one in the base, one out on the map now. Oh, I'm already genuinely curious. Like, is he just going to be throwing out weird and wacky builds from this point on? But the thing is, he's had very solid mechanics that he's been falling back on, which has been awesome.
Yeah, I do feel like his late game and just his late game harass especially has been super on point and allowed him to, bounce back from some of the deficits and stuff he's had. That probe hiding in the bottom right-hand corner behind the mineral line. My God, this is absolutely one of those cheeky proxies. But what I also like about it is as the Overlord comes in, it's actually just still going to see, well, if it does come in anytime soon, or like the Zerglings manage to make their way into the main, there's still going to be those extra pylons and stuff that he's building. He's not actually like shirking on the number of pylons back at home. He's trying to hide this the best he can.
One super cutesy thing that he did as well, he actually made this probe go to the left, like where his third base is, and then across the map diagonally. And that was all to avoid this single Overlord, which that was actually very good. And Lambo, he's very good at scouting. And look, he's on his way to scouting everywhere that he possibly can. In fact, where's the other Ling going? Oh my goodness. He might just spot it with that southeast Ling, which if this probe keeps bouncing here, maybe he gets a little glimpse of the probe, not the building, which might give it all away.
Okay, is Lambo also paying attention? It's moving around and
Sees it, spots it.
Oh God. Oh, right as the Stargate finishes up, he's still gonna just start up the Oracle at this point. It's unlikely that the Stargate will get depowered or anything, even if all the Lings made their way over here and started attacking it. But GunGFuBanDa is actually just gonna play it safe. He's still just gonna throw down a couple extra pylons. He really wants to ensure he's able to get out maybe the second Oracle as well then at this point.
I wouldn't be surprised if he cancels them both upon getting the first one. But it depends, right? Like, yeah, he goes for the cancel. So the Oracle has been revealed. That was really nice scouting by Lambo. That could have came from an angle and a position that you just had no idea about it, right? He does have a single spore. Whereabouts is that bad boy? It is over in the natural. But yeah, this is definitely a decent start for Lambo.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, Oracle's still going to be able to provide some of the high ground vision, take out the Overlord without having to get up a Phoenix or anything, but looks like that pylon will eventually get depowered, since I imagine that Oracle's gonna have a job of just getting some actual scouting information and stuff instead of continuously dealing with the Lings poking at the pylon. Yeah.
Still not the end of the world for GunGfu. He's going into a third Nexus here, along with 4-gate Adept with the Resonating Glaives. So this game is just transitioning to this in a weird way. Like, is this necessarily what GunGfu want to do? Maybe. But, yeah, scouting that Stargate, that's something that you almost never account for unless you play against the super tip-top Zergs.
Definitely not the way that GunGFuBanDa wanted the game to start. But like you said, I think keeping the Oracle alive, he's still been able to find little bits and pieces of damage done and everything. Still got the Oracle out. And we'll see how strong this Resonating Glaive Adept attack is. Now, Resonating Glaives is going to finish up, but the Robo's just kind of starting. And I think that there is Yeah, just the Stargate in the bottom right. So he doesn't really have a proxy pylon either. This attack is going to be kind of what you see is what you get for a little while. He's not going to have a lot of reinforcements coming in for a bit.
Yeah, Lambo's been producing a lot of roaches as well. He's going to have 14 out pretty soon. And look at this timing. He's got the roaches, can make the wall. He's even got the queens holding off the Oracle on the other side as well. And I think this game's starting to look real dire for the German Protoss.
Yeah, a bit of a disaster so far. Already losing a few more of these adepts. A Dark Shrine is on the way, and honestly, I don't blame him, but even that is going to be a bit tough. Oracle's continuing to move in. He gets a revelation off, and he is scouting around and seeing also where he could send his DTs if he's going to move them in. But there's already an Overseer actually starting on up. I think that Lambo has had enough experience that he knows a very common follow-up to the kind of Resident Glaive Adept attacks is getting that Dark Shrine.
Lambo, he's like, you know what? I've held off enough here. Like, how many drones has he lost this game? 4 in total, despite the only thing that GunGFu's done is throw units at his opponent here. And Lambo, he's just like, you know what? I'm marching across the map. This is the German taxi right here, boys and girls.
Queen's joining the fray for this, and that Oracle, I think, may have seen some of those units rallying on forward. But RoboBay is on the way. GunGFuBanDa is going to need some miracle to survive long enough to get out, say a disruptor or something, to try and hold on. That third base, absolutely, you just give it up. There's zero chance you could defend that right now.
Yeah, and Lambo patiently knows, like, hey, I can just start sending my queens back home before anything really goes amiss. And starts up a Spire as well. He's getting roach speed with all this. That's done. Granted, he needed to catch up on drones a bit, but Lambo's making all the right calls here. This play here, this patience and running back and knowing when to call it quits, this is evolution in Lambo's play, because I've seen him before where he's been a bit barrel-chested, just running up that ramp and trying to kill his opponent, but this is really good.
Yeah, and now he's gonna be able to prevent things like a lot of the DTs getting tons of damage on, because his army is still already back at home. He can quickly react to at least the one in the natural. Third base, he just pulls the drones away, and we'll be able to rely on some of those Overseers. Still not bad damage there, I have to say, for GunGFu, getting 6 workers worth of kills from those 2 DTs, and even gets out of there with one of them, but still, I think he's looking for more damage and also to keep that Oracle alive. Oof.
Yeah, and now Lambo's just scouting, just making sure that there's not something real weird going on. Because, yeah, if everything goes as planned now for Lambo, like, he knows he's ahead, and it's just about leaning on it a little bit. So he's going to start taking extra bases. Creep spread's actually starting to look pretty decent as well. And, yeah, given that all the rocks have been destroyed as well, all the paths for him are very open from start getting real good engagements.
Well, Ben, as a wise man once said, never doubt I'm someone who has a disruptor in a dream. And, well, GunGFuBanDa's got 2. He's in a very, very tough spot, but not counting him out until those disruptors are gone at least. And disruptor number 1 skims a few units off the edge of the army. Lambo gonna be a bit cautious now as he waits for his mutas to pop.
Yeah, did GunGFu scout the Spire? Because he started making a Phoenix. How many does he have on the map? He just has 1 right now, which, isn't enough to hold off like a good 11 meters. But yeah. Oh, okay. Lambo has to be so careful here. Even though his army owns, he is losing a few drones to these run-bys of GunGFu now, taking a bit of economic damage. But those disrupt shots, as you said, they are the one thing that can absolutely keep GunGFu in this game.
Yeah, especially since, as you mentioned, GunGFuBanDa did get the scout out on that Spire, so he knows about it, and he's already got those Phoenix coming out to help deal with those mutas, and mutas are great. Oh, okay, not a bad disruptor shot right there. I was gonna say, mutas are great when you can catch your opponent a bit off guard. You can find bits and pieces of damage. The Phoenix can deal with them. It might actually be valuable over here, but now we see the disruptor on the front line as after it gets taken out, there's not that much firepower here anymore to actually take out a lot of this army. The Immortals finding a lot of good value trades here. Surprisingly, the mutas have not gotten that much damage done. In fact, where are the mutas? It looks like they backed off since the Phoenix are starting to come forward. They're going to find an opportunity to move back in now, though.
That was a little bullheaded by Lambo. Like, that fight took out the disruptors, but the mutas, they should have been in there as well. Now he has to worry about both these armies. It's quite a lot of Blink Stalkers, but they're all in the main. This could potentially be his time to go. but he's choosing the economic route here. He knows he's ahead economically. He knows his opponent's definitely wounded. Oh, nice micro with the Phoenix.
Yeah, nearly loses one of them. You really don't want to lose any of them at this point. But I think that it seems like GunGFuBanDa is just not producing a lot of units right now because I think it just doesn't have that great of an economy anymore. He's just focusing on producing stalkers, kind of foregoing making a lot more Phoenix. I guess he also doesn't really know that there are a bunch more mutas also coming his way. He doesn't have the full information about this.
This creep spread up the left side of the map as well. It's on GunGFu's doorstep here. Absolutely none on the right side of the map, which is super funny. But it's not really where Lambo needs it. Oh, those poor probes in the wrong part of town.
Yeah, gonna be able to find a few pickings here and there. The muta count continuing to grow. I think that now GunGFuBanDa has seen that. He's gonna start resuming some of that Phoenix production as well, saying, okay, I know the disruptors are important, but I do need to get a response to these mutas. Getting up at least 5 Phoenix. 5 Phoenix can really just make some magic happen with some good micro. It can at least gradually pick away at those mutas. I feel like when you're below 5 Phoenix, though, it just sort of feels like the mutas are killing everything while your Phoenix are trying to gradually tickle the mutas to death.
Yeah, this for Lambo, this is the stage of the game where if this was a ladder game, you just hope your opponent left the game. And this is where he can potentially get a little impatient. But the thing is, his army isn't going to get much better. Whereas GunGFu's, he's got a lot of supply to spend. This is a nice attack, getting the probe kills, getting a few stalkers here and there as well. Like, he has to, if he continuously picks off GunGFu like that, he can remax on anything he wants and it'll be super strong. But so yeah, like a lot of the fights that Lambo may take soon may look a little bit weird, a little bit crazy, but he kind of has to, honestly.
Yeah, it is. If you look at the map, it's also very indicative of how this is very similar to when you watch someone who's on, you know, 2 or 3 extra bases, kind of just throwing units up a ramp or something at someone who's defended on that one base, like on that ladder game or something. It's sort of reminiscent of that. GunGFuBanDa cannot take a 4th, really. But Lambo also has a hard time taking cost-efficient trades against someone who's just sitting very camped out on those 3 bases. So Lambo just kind of says, all right, well, I'll gradually just throw units at you cost inefficiently because I can expand and you can't.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like Lambo, if he's saying anything to himself, right now it can't be like, okay, just kill him, just kill him. He has to think, okay, you're ahead, don't do anything silly, because he's getting all the right stuff. Like, he's doing it right. He's getting Hive, he's getting big upgrades on those Zerglings, even getting like Carapace upgrade, which is really cool. That's not something you normally get in this kind of situation, but GunGFu, like, he's poor behind this. His main practically mined out, same with his natural. And look, this is 13-minute charge. Like, this just shows you how weird this game is.
That is not a good feeling, but I will say, Ben, there is one weird situation that could happen if GunGFuBanDa can get there. Really can't afford to take losses like that, like an Archon going down. But, I mean, he is still finding some good trades here and there. And there is this funny point where, Ben, you max out in StarCraft and the game tells you can't make more supply. And if you max out on a really good, cost-efficient army, you can make some magic happen there. Well, we're starting to see Lambo dancing and kind of teasing at engagements. GunGFuBanDa, frankly, is going to have an army that can basically win 2 fights against, 2 different armies of Lambo. But, Protoss can sometimes make that happen.
And that's the thing, he has to win 2 fights against Lambo, not just 1, but hold the phone here. That is so many Banelings trying to run through. All the disruptors are surrounded. The Banelings just marching through. They are not attack moving. They're actually working as a meat shield at the same time. Corruptors join the fray. GunGFu's supply just absolutely plummeted.
Yeah, and this is that point where we say, even if GunGFu was able to hold on over here, that second fight, that second army that Lambo is producing right now is going to be a huge, huge problem. We start to see the continuous swarm of Zerg units coming forward. GG, congrats, good luck, calls GunGFuBanDa. And Lambo advances on to the next round of that low.